My twin brother faked bruises and spread lies to get me kicked out at 15. My parents believed every word and disowned me while treating him like a hero. I rebuilt my life from scratch, but when I found success, they came crawling back for money. I knew I wasn't wanted the day my twin brother Liam got a bicycle for our birthday, and I got a Be Better lecture. Growing up, we were the same age in the same house, under the same roof, but treated like we were born into entirely different lives. My parents were absolutely convinced Liam was going to be somebody. They called him their little prodigy. He was quiet, bookish, and manipulative in all the ways they admired. Me, I was just Maya. Loud, athletic, and apparently too much. The black sheep. Even as a kid, I could feel the imbalance in the air, like our house was tilted in Liam's direction. Every achievement of mine, winning races, making friends easily, becoming captain of the middle school soccer team, was brushed off like I'd cheated to get there. Why don't you focus on your studies like your brother, they'd say. Being popular won't get you into college. But I wasn't just ignored, I was punished. Birthday parties? Only for Liam. Friends over? Not allowed because Maya can't be trusted. My phone got taken away because I downloaded TikTok once. Meanwhile, Liam had a full gaming setup in his room, and no one batted an eye. And Liam knew. He knew exactly how much power he had. When we were 12, he came downstairs with a black eye, claimed I hit him with my elbow during an argument. I hadn't even touched him, but my parents didn't even ask. I was grounded for a month. That was the start of it. Over the next few years, he got smarter with it. A bruise on his arm? Maya grabbed me. A cut on his leg? She tripped me on purpose. He knew how to stage things. Once he bashed his head lightly against the doorframe and told everyone I slammed his head into the wall during a fight. And he got away with all of it. The worst part? People believed him. Teachers started keeping an eye on me. Friends stopped inviting me to birthday parties. I overheard whispers in the hallway. Is she violent? She seems so normal. Even the school principal pulled me into her office and asked if I needed counseling. I told her Liam was lying. She said I sounded defensive. It all came crashing down the day he faked a fall down the stairs. He scraped his back and told the entire school I pushed him. I got suspended. And when I came home with the letter, my mom didn't even let me speak. She screamed that I was out of control and ruining Liam's life. My dad shoved a trash bag at me and told me to pack my things. "You're done here," he said, just like that. I remember sitting on the curb outside our house with that bag, watching them slam the door shut. I didn't have a plan. I didn't even have a jacket. Just this ache in my chest like someone had scooped out my heart. And then I saw headlights. My grandfather, Robert, pulled up, his face twisted in this look I'll never forget. Rage and heartbreak all at once. My parents had called him to warn him I might show up. He saw right through it. "You're coming home with me," he said, wrapping me in the jacket off his own back. "You're not crazy, you're not violent, and you're not alone anymore." I stayed with him in his little house outside town, slept in the spare room filled with old books and the smell of pine from the trees outside. Every night he'd sit with me, talk to me, listen in a way my parents never did. He told me stories about his youth, made me tea, helped me feel like a person again. And when I cried, about Liam, about the betrayal, about how I'd done everything right and still got thrown away, he let me. He didn't rush me, didn't fix it, just let me cry. I wasn't the black sheep to him. I was his granddaughter, and I was worth saving. After I moved in with Grandpa Robert, I didn't speak to my parents again. Not for weeks, not for months. Eventually, the silence stretched into years. At first, I kept my head down. I was too numb to dream, too burned out to believe in anything bigger than just surviving another day of high school. My senior year passed in a blur of library lunches, late-night cramming, and avoiding eye contact with anyone who might have heard the rumors. I had no friends left, Liam made sure of that. But I had something else: space and Robert. He never once pressured me to explain what had happened. He just gave me the gift of a safe, quiet life. We'd eat dinner together in his little kitchen every night, and he'd ask me about school, never pushing, just letting me talk when I was ready. He bought me notebooks, even when we didn't have much money, because I told him once that writing helped me think. That's how it started, writing. At first, it was just a way to vent. I'd write fake stories about families who were kind, about brothers who were protective instead of poisonous, stories where the girls didn't get kicked out. They ran away on their own terms. It helped in a strange way, gave me a sliver of control. And over time, I realized I was kind of good at it. Senior year, I applied to out-of-state colleges, every one of them as far from my hometown as I could afford with scholarships and financial aid. When I got accepted to a small liberal arts college 3 states away, I cried harder than I ever had before. Not because I was scared, because for the first time in my life, I felt free. College was strange at first, like stepping into a world that didn't even know I was broken. No one there knew about Liam. No one looked at me like I was dangerous or disappointing. I could just be Maya. I made friends, real friends, people who liked me for who I was, who stayed up with me at 2 a.m., talking about life and love and who we wanted to become. I joined clubs, took classes that made my brain light up, learned how to live without walking on eggshells, and I kept writing. What started as a hobby became a hustle. I started freelancing sophomore year, blog posts, product copy, articles for student websites. I wasn't picky. I needed the cash, and every time I landed a new client, it felt like I was taking one more step away from the person they tried to turn me into. By graduation, I had a full portfolio, steady clients, and a dream I didn't dare say out loud yet. But Robert saw it. He always did. When I walked across that stage in my cap and gown, I found him in the crowd. Old baseball cap pulled low, eyes watery, holding the sign he made himself. My girl did it. My parents weren't there. Liam wasn't there. And for once, I didn't care. After college, I didn't stop. I took a leap and went full-time with my writing. It wasn't easy. Some months were lean, some jobs dried up. But I kept at it. Slowly, I built something that felt like mine. Something I created with no help from the people who said I'd never amount to anything. I started traveling, took my laptop with me and bounced from city to city, sometimes country to country. I worked from cafes in Lisbon, wrote blog posts from hammocks in Bali, met people whose stories reminded me that pain isn't the end. It's the beginning of something new. And through it all, Robert was my anchor. He'd text me to check in, call just to hear my voice. Once I mailed him a postcard from Greece with a photo of the Aegean Sea, and he called me crying, saying, "They don't know what they lost, Maya, but I do." My parents, not a word. Liam, dead silent. And that was fine. That silence was healing. Until it wasn't. Because success has a way of waking up the ghosts you thought you buried. It started with a tweet. Just a screenshot of a campaign I'd written for a sustainable fashion brand, a brand that, to my surprise, went viral. One of the pieces I ghost wrote got picked up by a few influencers. Then a journalist traced the writing back to me, asked for a short interview, and next thing I knew, boom. My name was suddenly in places I'd never expected it to be. I didn't think much of it at first, just another project, another bullet point on the resume. But then came the podcast requests, the LinkedIn buzz, a DM from a literary agent who said, "Your voice is exactly what the world needs right now." Then came the TV segment, just 5 minutes on a morning talk show. I sat there, heart pounding, telling a clean, polished version of my story. Not the trauma, not the betrayal, but the rebuilding, the freelance hustle, the escape. I talked about leaving a toxic home environment, about being written off too early, about the quiet power of finding your voice when everyone else tried to silence it. And then, the calls started. First, a number I didn't recognize, straight to voicemail, then another, then a text. "Maya, it's Mom. We saw you on TV. So proud. Call us." I stared at my phone like it was a grenade. My parents hadn't spoken my name in over a decade. They never called when I graduated, never reached out when I launched my business, never said a word when I moved abroad, and now they were proud? I didn't respond. Then Liam texted, short and smirking. "Guess you're not as useless as we thought. Congrats. Mom wants to know if you can help with some renovation costs. House is falling apart." It was like being doused in cold water. They didn't want reconciliation. They wanted money. I remember pacing the living room of my rented apartment in Berlin, my hands shaking. I couldn't tell if it was rage or heartbreak anymore. Probably both. But I didn't cry this time. I called them back. My mother picked up. Her voice was syrupy sweet. "Oh, honey, you look beautiful on TV. We always knew you'd—" "No," I cut in. "You didn't. Don't lie." She paused, then gently, "Well, maybe we were hard on you. But Liam was going through so much. You have to understand. No, I said again, sharper this time. You don't get to rewrite history. I told her I'd help, but only on one condition. They admit what happened, publicly. A letter to the family, posted online, whatever. They had to acknowledge the abuse, the favoritism, the lies Liam told that ruined my life. All of it. She went quiet, then hung up. An hour later, Liam texted again. You really think anyone cares about your sob story? I made that shit up because I could, and because you were always so damn easy to ruin. Get over it. That was it. I stared at the screen, heart pounding, and then I took a screenshot. I spent the rest of the night writing an email to our entire extended family. Aunts, uncles, cousins, anyone who'd ever looked at me with suspicion or pity or indifference. I poured everything into that message. Every lie, every scar, every time they turned their backs on me while Liam sharpened the knife. And at the end of that email, I attached the screenshot. The message that proved everything. I hit send before I could talk myself out of it. By morning, my inbox was a war zone. Half the family wrote to apologize. Some were stunned, some furious. At my parents, at Liam, at themselves. A few said they'd suspected something was off for years but didn't know how deep it went. My parents, they called me 5 times. Left voicemails that started apologetic and quickly turned into screaming. Accused me of destroying the family's reputation. Called me vindictive, ungrateful, cruel. I sent them one reply, a formal cease and desist letter from my lawyer. They haven't contacted me since. But every now and then, I hear things. From second cousins, old neighbors. Apparently the shame stuck. People started pulling away from them. My parents lost friends. Liam quit his job after someone forwarded my email to HR. For once, their silence wasn't mine to carry. After the email, after the truth broke through the concrete walls of silence that had boxed me in for so long, there was this moment, a strange stillness. I remember waking up the next morning and realizing there was nothing left for them to take from me. No power, no guilt, no control. The people who made me feel like a mistake for existing were finally gone. And in their place, peace. Real peace. It didn't come with confetti. It didn't feel like some epic triumph. It was quieter than that, like the first deep breath after a panic attack, or sunlight touching skin that hadn't felt warmth in a long, long time. My business kept growing faster than I ever expected. The attention from the interviews spiraled into something bigger. Clients I'd only dreamed of working with reached out. Agencies offered retainers. I signed with that literary agent, got flown out for speaking gigs, was interviewed on podcasts, panels, magazines. For once, I wasn't writing in the shadows. I was telling my story on my own terms. And through all of it, Robert was there. I flew him out to visit me in Paris for his birthday. We sat by the Seine eating fresh bread and cheap cheese, and he said, "You know, Maya, I don't think I've ever seen you smile like this." I laughed, told him it was because, for the first time, I actually meant it. After everything he did for me, rescuing me, housing me, never once asking for anything in return, I finally had the chance to give back. I helped renovate his kitchen, paid off the rest of his mortgage, bought him the garden tools he always wanted but never splurged on. We'd spend afternoons in his backyard planting tomatoes and arguing about music. Some evenings we'd sit in silence, sipping tea and listening to the radio. That man gave me back my life. The least I could do was make sure the rest of his was full of joy. But healing, as I learned, doesn't stop at freedom. It takes work. So I found a therapist. I walked into that office scared out of my mind, wondering if I'd fall apart the second I opened my mouth. But what I found there was compassion. For the first time in my life, someone helped me untangle all the trauma, all the twisted definitions of love I'd been raised on. I grieved the girl I used to be, the one who begged her parents to see her, the one who thought maybe if she was better, quieter, smarter, more obedient, they'd finally choose her. And then I let her go. I don't carry them anymore. Not the betrayal, not the lies, not even Liam. They don't get to live rent-free in my head. I built something bigger than them. A life filled with real connection, chosen family, and joy that doesn't need anyone's permission. People sometimes ask if I regret anything, if I'd go back and try to fix things, be the bigger person, and my answer is always the same. Nope. Because being the bigger person used to mean shrinking myself until I disappeared. Now, it means honoring my boundaries. It means protecting my peace. It means knowing that love, real love, isn't supposed to hurt like that. I survived a house that tried to destroy me from the inside out. I walked through the fire and didn't come out the same. I came out free. And if there's one thing I've learned from this ride, Frankie, it's that blood doesn't make you family. Love does. And sometimes, you have to build your own damn house. Brick by brick, word by word, and make it a home no one can throw you out of again. If you made it this far, thanks for riding with me. If you love real, messy, emotional stories like this, go ahead and hit subscribe. There's always another confession waiting in the backseat.